Hi, we're with Flagstaff Doulas for our postpartum meetup group, and we've got Tracy Spackman with us. And her website is getquietnights.com, and she's sharing some great information about sleep through the different stages of babies and toddlers.
All right, thanks. Thanks, Kristen.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm Tracy Spackman, and we're going to talk about some sleep secrets, understanding the sleep needs of babies and toddlers, because everybody always asks me how much sleep their child should get. So I was just going to share this graph from the National Sleep Foundation and how much sleep a child needs. And so for newborns, 14 to 17 hours in a 24-hour period is pretty common. But some do more, 18 to 19, and some do less, but 14 to 17 is super common. And I wanted to go through each of these kind of little pieces. So the range of sleep, the range of normal for sleep is so broad really that there is no normal. And so I see some patterns sometimes, like around 3 months, day sleep awake times are often 90 minutes. And bedtimes can still be really late, like sometimes 8, 9, 10, 11 could be actually the bedtime. All of those bedtimes are normal. And then you might get a couple hours stretch, and then the baby might be eating every couple hours, or at this age, 0 to 3 months, the baby might be sleeping long chunks because there is no normal. The goal really for this age is to focus on the relationship between the parents and the child, to get used to understanding what the baby does to show you that they're hungry, and what they do to show you that they're tired. Blinking frequency might change. You might see staring off into space. Hunger cues are different. And so if sleep is a challenge from 0 to 3 months, it's usually not a sleep issue. It's usually a feeding issue. So the first person that you would want to talk to is your doula or your lactation consultant to find out if there's tongue tie, or if you need to fix positioning, or if there's something else that you need to look at. Maybe what the mom is eating is causing there's a food sensitivity in the baby. There's all sorts of factors. But if the baby's really seeming tired and not well rested at this age, 0 to 3 months, it's not that you need to sleep train them. It's that you need to figure out what's making them uncomfortable or extra hungry. And they used to say that a baby should sleep flat on a mattress for naps, and that was the best sleep. So we would tell people that motion sleep is better than no sleep. So if you have to hold, rock, nurse, drive your baby to get some naps, so that was better than not getting any naps at all if your baby refuses to sleep on their back. But they have since come out and said motion sleep is just as good as flat sleep. And I can say I couldn't tell a difference if my baby slept flat or if we did motion. It always seemed the same with my kids. So I'm so glad that they have come out and said that. It's like we as parents needed permission to nurse, rock, and hold our babies to naps, when intuitively we felt like that's what our baby was asking for, so that's what we should do. So I love that the research keeps getting itself more up to date with what the moms are intuitively wanting to do. So here's the question. What if you rock, hold, and nurse? Will it cause like sleep habits? Crutches. Crutches seems like it's a dirty word, crutches. And so will putting your baby to bed with the nursing mean you'll have to nurse them until they're 17 years old? No, of course not. But will it make it harder for them to learn sleep skills later? And actually the answer is probably not. Parents that nurse their baby to sleep, or rock, or hold, or sing, because nothing works, so they try all of these things, they are able to undo those sleep crutches or sleep associations when the baby is actually ready to learn sleep skills. And whether it's hard or not has nothing to do with the fact that you use crutches. Whether it's hard or not has everything to do with the temperament traits your baby was born with. So that's really nothing that you can do about it. So it's going to be easy or it's going to be hard. So let it be easy at the beginning, and that might just be exactly what your baby needed in order to feel secure. So no mom guilt if you're nursing or rocking your baby to sleep. It's probably necessary for that child. Okay, so at 4 months of age, there's a huge major brain development milestone. The vision may change and the baby can see further away. They may start rolling. That's pretty exciting. They're just starting to be potentially able to learn sleep independent skills. With each developmental milestone, it's like the brain is gifting you with all of this potential, and then it chooses what to work on. And if it doesn't choose to work on sleep, you might have a really strong roller instead, or maybe there's a baby that can do both. And so a 4-month-old is typically doing 12 to 15 hours in a 24-hour period. And that could be 12 hours at night and 3 hours during the day, or more or less, those outliers. But I find that 15 hours or 16 hours is really common for alert temperaments or more challenging sleepers. The higher number is usually more common. But until you're past this developmental milestone, you don't really want to try to make sleep changes. You just want to figure out what helps your baby fall asleep the easiest. And rocking, holding, nursing, bottle feeding, driving, stroller, those are all tools that you can use to make it easier so that your baby cannot feel stressed about life. There'll be time enough for stress later. It's not yet. So then next, 5 to 8 months, look, it's the same amount of sleep. Night sleep is often 12 hours plus 3 naps, and the naps aren't always like 3 hours worth of nap. I like to think of it in a different way. I like to think of the naps as far as sleep cycles go. And at this age, a sleep cycle is developing into about a 45-minute period. It's pretty common. So 3 sleep cycles plus cat nap. It's pretty common for 5 to 8 months. So 45-minute nap in the morning or more, an hour-and-a-half nap in the afternoon or more, and then maybe a 5 to 20-minute cat nap in the late afternoon or more. I did meet somebody who had 3 2-hour naps. I'm like, what? Each of your naps are 2 hours? She's like, yeah. And then that baby only slept 10 hours at night, not 12. But I call her my super sleeper. It was amazing. I don't meet babies like that too often, but it's always fun to see those super sleepers because I always get to talk to the moms of babies who are really challenged with sleeping. Naps typically organize around 6 months. So if naps kind of seem all over the place before 6 months, remember the range of normal is really broad. So you're just focusing on learning to identify those tired signs and doing the best that you can so that your baby seems happy and well rested. And then see if you notice a predictable pattern as you're following those tired signs. And you'll probably notice that it falls into 3 naps and you get 3 or 4 sleep cycles in a day. So things to avoid with your day sleep is you want to avoid cortisol spikes. So your body has a period of time that it can be awake. It's called the wakeful window. And at the end of the wakeful window is the sleep window. So if the wakeful window is like this, the sleep window is like this much of it, the last 15 or 20 minutes for an alert baby, or maybe the last half hour for an easier baby. And if the baby's not falling asleep by the end of that little sleep window, then their body will flood with cortisol, that stress hormone, and gives them a burst of energy so they can cope that they're so tired. And we're just trying to avoid that cortisol spike with missing that sleep window. So with your day sleep, follow the tired signs, look for the sleep cues, avoid those cortisol spikes if you can, and help them to fall asleep. So with day sleep, I want to keep it low stress. So focus on when by watching tired signs, and then how much, 3 sleep cycles or more a day. And then the last goal is 3 sleep cycles plus a cat nap. But really, number 3, because avoid cortisol is number 1. Low stress is number 2. And 3 sleep cycles plus an extra cat nap is number 3. The 3 sleep cycles really is the lowest priority. Because if you have a baby that won't sleep a full sleep cycle, then you can have a cat nap, and then you just need another cat nap, and then another cat nap, and another cat nap, and you can have 5 or 6 cat naps instead of the 3 sleep cycles. And that baby could still be totally well rested with the cat naps. And there's probably something else that you need to work on before you really focus on making those naps long into full sleep cycles. There might be something else that you need to work on first, because naps are not the first thing to fall into place. So this is how day sleep falls into place. So if you can look at my talking head, you can see this little thing here. I'll get it close. So the first thing to come together is day sleep, and you want to just get it any way possible. Don't worry about how. Pay attention to tired signs first, and then how much, but a whole bunch of cat naps are totally fine. And then you would focus on night sleep. And if your baby is in this 5 to 8 month range, they could probably work on the night sleep if you wanted to, especially if you were sleep deprived or your baby was sleep deprived. So you work on night sleep skills and independence, and then you work on nap skills, how they fall asleep. You could undo crutches after you work on this. So there is an order that makes it a lot easier. And then 9 to 11 months, this is typically when the third nap gets dropped, around 9 months, sometimes as early as 8.5 months. And night sleep is still often 12 hours. I see 12-hour night sleepers all the time. And then so 2 naps, 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, and 3 sleep cycles still, but we've just dropped that third nap, and we're hopefully getting 3 solid sleep cycles in the 2 naps. So 1 sleep cycle in the morning and 2 sleep cycles in the afternoon. And I see this 2, 3, 4 hour schedule pattern show up a lot. So wake up, 2 hours later, nap. Wake up, 3 hours later, nap. Wake up, 4 hours later, bedtime. 2, 3, 4. Have you ever had see in a Facebook group someone say, I have a 2, 3, 4 sleeper, what do you have? And you're like, what's a 2, 3, 4? What does that even mean? This is what it means. It's wakeful windows. I find it helpful to follow the tired signs and figure out what your baby's body is trying to say that their schedule is, rather than putting them on a schedule that you see in a book. And a lot of the book schedules that I see, they're not even close to what I commonly see as I'm working with parents and following their natural rhythms. So I don't know where they're getting their information from. Milestones typically for this age would include pulling to stand, crawling, cruising along furniture, sometimes walking this early. That's exciting.
Tracy, I have a question.
Yeah.
You mentioned a Facebook group, and I was wondering if there's a Facebook group that you monitor about sleep, or are you just talking about a general one?
Well, I was talking about in general. I belong to a ton of Facebook groups, and I think a lot of moms do. Mm-hmm. So I was talking about sleep in a Facebook group, and someone messaged me and asked me for advice. And I told her that, well, I have these like consultations. Do you want a consultation? She's like, oh, yes, I totally want a consultation. So I did a consultation with her. And then she went back to the group and started to say, you guys should all call Tracy. She's so good, because I helped her baby start sleeping through the night, and she was finally rested. And the admins of that group kicked me out of the group because they thought that I had paid her to say that.
Oh, no.
So I'm like, well, fine, I'll just start my own group then. So I started my own group. This was maybe 6 years ago. So I started my own group, and I called it Sleep Sisters Get Quiet Nights. So all the people that I work with, all my clients that I do consultations with, they're all in the group. And then anybody else who wants to join that group, just to pick my brain, talk to other moms who have worked with me. So it's like a mom-to-mom support group with a professional in there as well to answer questions. So thank you for asking that question, Kristen. Yes. Yeah.
Sleep Sisters Get Quiet Nights.
Get Quiet Nights. It was originally called Sleep Sisters because I felt like all these moms that are tired, we can have a kinship with each other and support each other like sleep sisters. And then I noticed somebody else had started a consultation business called Sleep Sisters. I'm like, what? No, that was my idea. So I changed it to Sleep Sisters Get Quiet Nights.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, and so moms go in there and they ask their questions, and sometimes a mom will answer, sometimes one of the other moms will tag me, or the asker will tag me, and if it's a question that I can answer in my Facebook group, I totally will, all the time. But sometimes the question is, how do I get my baby to sleep through the night? I'm like, well, that is such a huge question, you have no idea. So then I'll just list some of the variables that they want to look and then invite them to call me for a free sleep assessment.
Great. I just put that in the chat, the Facebook group, and your website.
Great, thank you. So at 12 months, there's this huge developmental milestone. It's almost as big as the 4-month one, and it makes naps fall apart so often. So I like to call these a progression, not a regression, because it's exciting for the baby. They're learning more and so much is going on, but the brain stops focusing on sleep and starts focusing on these other emerging skills. And so it looks like a 12-month-old looks like that their naps are trying to transition to one nap. And a lot of daycare centers put babies on one nap at 12 months. But developmentally, no, don't put them on one nap yet. If you keep offering both naps at the times that they were working a month ago, the naps will come back. Both naps will come back, and they'll be just as strong as they were before. And it's really closer to 18 months that they drop down to one nap. So keep offering both naps. And if you're putting your child in a daycare because you work, if there's a way to get the daycare to keep the 2 naps, even though they're in the toddler room, that you go scoop up that baby and nap them with the younger babies for another 6 months or so, it will make your nights and your evenings a lot easier. All right, 2 years old, I'm gonna jump a year. If by 2 years old, all bets are off guessing when those tired signs are gonna show up, because they change so drastically at 2 years old. So at 18 months, you might have gone down to one nap, but the wakeful window at the end of the day is still only 4 hours. I see that all the time. So then at 2 years old, that wakeful window at the end of the day could change from anywhere to 3.5 to 6.5 hours. 3.5 to 6.5 hours, that's such a huge window to have to watch. But if you've been watching for tired signs this whole time, you will notice when it changes, and then you will find what the new normal schedule is. It's not going to adjust or flip from 3.5 to 6.5 daily for your baby. It will just be somewhere in that range from child to child. So your friend may have a 5-hour sleeper, and you might keep a 4-hour sleeper. And then your other friend will have a 6.5-hour sleeper where they're awake. Sorry, not sleeper, but they're awake for that long. So you have to figure out what your 2-year-old's new normal is. And typically the nap stays as long as it was before they turned 2. So let's see. Another big change is 3 to 5 years old. So at 3 years old, 10 hours at night to 13. I see a lot of 3-year-olds still doing a 12-hour night. But if the bedtime starts to be a real challenge, limiting the nap to an hour at 3 years old often fixes it. But it's not a, oh, your child turned 3, so limit that nap to an hour. It's not a rule for 3-year-olds. It's just a suggestion in case nap gets hard. And then typically the nap that you're left with, that afternoon nap that you're left with, drops somewhere between 3.5 and 4.5 years old. So I'm always surprised when someone tells me their child dropped their nap at 2. I'm like, oh, really? I hope they have an easy child, because an easy temperamented child will be able to handle that pretty well. But an alert child temperament probably is going to have meltdowns for a long time after that. So then how do you know if a child is getting enough sleep? How do you know? The answer is, do they seem happy and well rested? The answer is a question. Do they seem happy and well rested? And if they seem happy and well rested, yeah, your child is getting enough sleep. Even if the amount of sleep is totally different than any chart you've ever looked at, if they seem happy and rested, it is totally fine. I love to change the question when other people ask new parents, how is your baby sleeping? I'd love to have them all switch that and instead ask the mom directly, how are you sleeping? How is the mom sleeping? This 5.5 hours of sleep that I was talking to the other mom in this group a few minutes ago, 5.5 hours of sleep, even if it's broken up, is what you need in order to avoid those feelings of losing your mind, forgetting your keys. And if you're not getting at least 5.5 hours, it's a good idea to stay home. Now, temperament traits matter. I just pulled this chart off the internet when I Googled temperament traits visual or image. And so there's a lot of different images and a lot of really good quick look information about temperament traits. So if you're interested, if you have an alert baby, just Google temperament traits and you can see all of these different things to look at and do a little evaluation on your baby. I've noticed that alert babies, they need more sleep. At first it seems like they need less, but they probably need more. There's my resources. My website, getquietnights.com. I do free sleep assessments for anyone. We just talk about what's going on, what's bothering you. I can give you some direction. But if your baby is under 5 months old, I want to talk to you because I want you to feel good about following your intuition and not feel that pressure that you'll find on social media to do sleep training, because it may not be appropriate for your child, but there may be some simple things that you can do to get better sleep. Or it may be that you just need to change your expectations. Or it may be that you can embrace those sleep crutches that you really want to do, but feel like you're being made to feel guilty about. So I love talking to moms of newborns just for that. And then I have a blog, and I'm on Instagram, and Twitter mirrors my Instagram. But I'm not very good at those things. I don't like marketing. I just like talking to moms. But I do my best, and those things are on there, and they are full of great tips. But my love is this Facebook group, Sleep Sisters Get Quiet Nights, because then you can go in there, you can ask me questions, you can talk to other moms, and it always makes it feel like you have like your finger in my pocket, because you always know how to get a hold of me because it's right there. And if you're a Facebooker like I am, you're always on Facebook. So that's all I have for you today. How was that?
Great.
Thanks for inviting me. I will stop sharing my screen. Or stop share. There we go. Hey.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I just joined your Facebook group.
Yeah, I did it too.
Or I'm joining now, so.
Good. I'll go answer the questions.
I think I accidentally hit cancel on the question, so it's pending, so I don't know what happened. But
well, Elizabeth, if I see your name in there, I'll totally let you in.
okay.
I didn't have any questions in there for the longest time. I just added questions just this week.
Yeah.
Because the group was getting so big, I don't think people realized that it's like a support element of my business. And I wanted people to know so that other sleep coaches didn't think, oh, here's a sleep group, I'm going to go in and promote my business. I'm like, well, that's not really what it's for.
Yeah, I was multitasking and I accidentally clicked cancel and then it still said pending, so sorry.
Okay, if I see you, I will totally let you know.
Yep.
Any other questions before we let everyone get on with your day and your babies?
I don't think
No,
so.
I'll definitely. I'm a little hesitant of like until I start seeing the weight, kind of trying to get rid of that feed at night because I'm just like, because he's little, and he was kind of in that like teetering on like not gaining zone. But I definitely will take some of that other stuff because the second nap we've struggled. We'll kind of, when he's not doing it, we kind of run out of what to do, and that's why we're running into having to put him down so early, I think. So.
Well, putting an early bedtime is a good strategy when you don't think you're getting enough day sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your time, Tracy. It was really great to have you, and learn from you.
And Kristen, I did email you back. I've been slammed with work, but I'm free to chat whenever. I emailed